him. Death wasn't punishment, it was freedom. Alan wasn't supposed to die. He was old guard, respected, untouchable. But his nephew, his own blood, sold him out to Richie for land and a seat at the table. MobLand has one rule. These weren't just tactical hits, they were emotional assassinations, a message to every viewer. There is no sanctuary in MobLand, not in family, not in old friendships. Freddy's eyes closing, Alan's body being zipped up, Tattersall crossing names off a list. Here's the truth, everyone's got secrets, and in MobLand, secrets have expiration dates. Freddy confessed and got mercy. Alan stayed silent and got erased. So what about the ones still alive? Harry D'Souza, Kevin Harrigan, even Serafina? Each of them is sitting on a secret, and each of them knows someone's already loading the gun. There is no code. There is no blood is thicker than water. It's only power. And if keeping power means stabbing your uncle in the back, so be it. Freddy and Alan died with their eyes open, not because they didn't see it coming, but because they refused to close them. That's the saddest part. In MobLand, you don't die surprised. You die expecting it. Loyalty is currency in MobLand, but what happens when the cost is your life? In the finale's bloodbath, it wasn't always traitors who died. It was the loyal, the honest, the believers, and they died, knowing they gave everything, for nothing. Tommy wasn't just Richie's heir, he was the soul of the Stevenson family, young, smart, naive. He thought his father would protect him, he thought the war was winnable, but Tommy forgot one thing. Harry D'Souza doesn't play fair. Tommy's murder wasn't just a blow, it was a declaration. Harry didn't kill Richie first, he killed his son, because he wanted Richie to feel it. And from that moment, there was no truce, just vengeance and fire. Archie had one rule, never go in without backup. But that night, he did. Archie was loyal to Colin Tattersall, loyal to the Force. He believed the system would protect him, that the paperwork would save him, but the moment he stepped into that abandoned warehouse, he was already dead. They buried Archie with honors, but what they didn't bury was the truth. Tattersall ordered the hit because Archie had started asking, why did Nicola disappear the same day as the DNA drop? Why is the Harrigan file sealed above my clearance? And in MobLand, if you ask too many questions, you become the answer. Zosha's not like Kiko. She doesn't kill for pleasure. She kills because she has to. She was Harry's blade, silent, deadly, precise. But in the finale, something changed. When she pulled the trigger on that last Stevenson soldier and the one who begged, the one who said he had a family, Zosha didn't walk away like usual. She dropped her gun and cried, "We expect gangsters to be monsters, but Zosha, she wasn't built for this." That man, the one she killed, used to be her friend, used to walk her home before she was recruited by Harry. Zosha's hands are no longer steady. She's a liability. And in MobLand, when your hands shake, your days are numbered. Kevin sees it, Harry definitely sees it. And now the only question is, when will they decide to cut her loose? Tommy Stevenson believed in family. Archie Hammond believed in justice. Zosha believed in duty. And they all died for it. So maybe MobLand isn't about right and wrong. Maybe it's about who's still breathing. Because loyalty, it's just another kind of suicide. The finale left a trail of psychological wreckage. Zosha's unraveling. Kevin's growing colder. Even Harry might be running out of people he trusts. Not every death in MobLand came with a bang. Some came with a whisper, a knock on the door that never got answered, a text that said, "I'll be back in 10, and then silence. Alice wasn't Alice. She was Nicola, the hidden weapon, an informant, a liar, a woman who got too close to fire and vanished in smoke. Tattersall used her to frame the Harrigans, used her DNA, used her cover story. Then, she was gone. No blood, no body, no goodbye, just one vanishing act, too clean to be coincidence. The way Tattersall runs ops, there are only two kinds of agents, useful and dead. Nicola was too good to waste, which means one of two things. She's deep cover now. She's being kept, for leverage. If she comes back in season 2, she'll either be holding a weapon or chained in someone else's basement. Tattersall is more than a dirty cop. He's an architect of chaos. Every loose end disappears, every death looks accidental, every truth gets rewritten. Ask yourself this. Why was there no investigation into Alice's disappearance? Why did the DNA match so conveniently? And why did Archie Hammond die right after asking questions? A jacket, enough to take down giants. But there's a rule in MobLand. You never outshine the puppeteer. Colin Tattersall, the aging detective with the grandfatherly charm, wasn't just running a case, he was running a game. Nicola thought she was working for justice, but Tattersall was working for power, and the moment he got what he needed from her, no gunshots, no struggle, just a van, a rag soaked in something untraceable, and a long drive into darkness. They didn't show her body, they didn't need to. The message was clear, loose ends get clipped. Think about it, the camera cuts away, no follow-up, no body. Not even a mention in the finale's closing montage. No body, hangs, no death. And Tattersall, he's the kind of man who keeps insurance policies. Alive. Nicola knew too much, not just about the Harrigans, but about the police, about what happened in Antwerp, about who really killed Brendan Harrigan, and why. She could have exposed them all, which is why Tattersall didn't kill her on screen. He couldn't, because if he did, the skeletons in his closet would start to scream. Let's be honest, in MobLand the police aren't heroes, they're tacticians, war profiteers in blue. Tattersall, DS Fisk, DC Mukasa, they're not cleaning up the streets. Nicola thought she was a player, she was a piece. But here's the dangerous part. What if she's not dead? What if she's being kept somewhere? Alive, isolated, drugged, watching, waiting, planning? They wore the uniform, they carried the law, but in the end, they died like every other criminal in MobLand, betrayed, silenced, discarded. Let's talk about Detective Superintendent Ivan Fisk, a hardliner, a hunter, and the first to find out what Tattersall was hiding. Fisk had doubts, he saw inconsistencies, he started asking, where's the real budget for Operation Serafina? Why was Nicola sent in without backup? Why did Brendan Harrigan's death disappear from the reports? He started digging, and what he found sealed his fate. Fisk uncovered the redacted documents, the fake names, the internal wiretaps, the truth. MobLand's war wasn't just criminal, it was orchestrated, from inside the force. Fisk was going to go public. He booked a meeting with the press. He told Mukasa, if I disappear, follow the money. Next morning, he's dead. Blunt force trauma, no weapon found, no suspects questioned. Suicide? He was hours from exposing the biggest corruption ring in British policing history. That wasn't suicide, that was a cleanup. Mukasa didn't believe the cover story. She knew Ivan wasn't unstable. She picked up where he left off. She found audio logs, unedited footage, files pointing to secret meetings between Tattersall and Serafina Harrigan herself. This war is good for business. Let it burn. Then we clean it up. That's when she knew the gangs weren't the problem. Mukasa never made it to her shift. Her car was found burning in an alleyway. Inside, charred remains, unrecognizable, dental records inconclusive. But on her apartment wall, left untouched by investigators, was one sentence, spray painted in black. She died alone, unheard, but not unnoticed. Fisk and Mukasa weren't just casualties, they were warnings. MobLand isn't just about blood in the streets, it's about the war no one sees. The paper war, the backroom deals, the erased names and vanished voices. When gangsters die, it's loud. When cops die for asking the wrong questions, it's quiet, almost like it didn't happen. That's not just corruption. So who's left? Tattersall, still walking, still working, still pulling strings? And what about Nicola? Still missing or hiding? And what about you, the viewer? You've seen how justice dies, but now you have to ask, would you survive in MobLand, or would they bury your name too? Sometimes the person standing next to you is the one who pulls the trigger. Sometimes the people you love the most are the ones who want you dead. MobLand didn't just take enemies, it took brothers, husbands, sons, and it took them in the cruelest way possible, by turning love into a weapon. Freddy was different. He wasn't power hungry like Richie, wasn't loyal like Harry. He was tired of playing a part in a war no one could win. By the time the finale aired, Freddy wasn't even hiding it. His hands shook, his eyes wandered, he was always looking at something no one else could see. Episode 10, Freddy meets with Kevin. Late night, empty lot, no backup. Kevin's gun is loaded. Freddy's isn't even on him, because he's not there to survive. He's there to be erased. Freddy's conscience caught up with him. He knew about Brendan Harrigan's death. He helped cover it up. He signed off on shipments that killed kids in Brixton. He tipped off the Stevensons for cash. And the guilt, it rotted. Every Death in MobLand Season 1 finale. In the world of MobLand, loyalty is a death sentence. They never saw it coming. They thought they were in control. But by the time the season ended, half of them were already dead. You think you've seen gang warfare before? Forget The Sopranos, forget Peaky Blinders. MobLand doesn't just kill characters, it erases entire lineages in a single gunshot. And here's the question no one dares ask, did they all really die? Or was this finale a cover-up for something much, much darker? MobLand Season 1 ended not with a bang, but a detonation of every alliance, every betrayal, every hidden hand. And in that destruction, a twisted truth was revealed. No one dies in MobLand unless someone wants them dead. By the time the dust cleared, Richie-Stevenson, gone. Kiko, gone. O'Hara, shot through the chest by her own allies. Even the informant Alice, or should we say, Nicola, disappeared without a trace. And that's just the finale. The death toll in Season 1 wasn't just high, it was orchestrated, designed, every move calculated by one man. Harry didn't just win a gang war, he played every side like a symphony, and no one saw it coming. We're about to break down every single death in the season finale, in brutal, unsparing detail. Some died loud, some died quietly, some may not be dead at all. But before we take you into the underworld of deception and murder, make sure you subscribe now, or risk missing the secrets that others die to keep buried. Subscribe animation. Blood seeps into the screen, forming the word subscribe before fading. This isn't just a recap, this is forbidden knowledge, because if you pay attention, you'll see that not all deaths in MobLand are what they seem. And some of these bodies, They were left behind on purpose, to hide the real killers, to erase witnesses, to send a message. MobLand didn't end in war, it ended in a performance, and every corpse in that finale was part of the script. Let's make something clear. Richie Stevenson didn't fall because he was outgunned. He fell because he trusted the wrong traitor. O'Hara Delaney, the woman he took in, promoted, and protected for over a year, was working for Harry the entire time. Harry didn't just win the war, he made O'Hara win it for him. She told Richie, "The Harrigans are hiding at a safe house. Hit them now, while they're vulnerable." But what Richie didn't know was that O'Hara was guiding his men straight into a slaughterhouse. 2 locations, 2 fake ambushes, both perfectly booby-trapped. Richie's top enforcers believed they were heading to a soft target, just a handful of unarmed Harrigans in hiding, but what they walked into was a bunker wired to blow. Kiko and Zosha watched from a distance as the first grenade was tossed, not to kill, but to wound, to leave survivors crawling, bleeding, begging. Then came the cleanup. Zosha moved through the smoke like death itself, but Kiko made one mistake. They thought it was over. Zosha checked the corners. Kiko flipped a body and got a bullet straight through the chest. One twitch of a finger and MobLand's most loyal soldier bled out on a cold floor. There were no last words, just silence, and a woman screaming his name, while Harry's plan rolled on. Meanwhile, across the city, Richie's second squad, the ones closest to him, entered a trap even more cruel. Paul, Harry's bomb maker, had rigged the desk with a charge powerful enough to split stone. One button, one boom, and every man Richie trusted to keep him safe was reduced to ash. The irony? They came expecting an ambush. They found extinction. And where was Richie? Exactly where Harry wanted him. In a room with the only person he shouldn't have trusted. Harry and Kevin stormed the stronghold, and Richie did the unthinkable. He used O'Hara as a human shield. In his final moment, Richie stopped being a king and became a coward. But Harry? He was never after Richie alone. He needed O'Hara gone too. A double execution, no hesitation, no mercy. What Harry did wasn't just murder, it was message. He wanted the entire city to see what happens when you play both sides. And as the smoke cleared, Harry didn't just win a war, he rewrote the rules of it. She walked straight into the lion's den. She gathered evidence that could collapse the Harrigan Empire, and then she disappeared. Alice, or as we now know her, Nicola, wasn't just a brave undercover cop. She was the key to ending the gang war before it truly began. Let's retrace her last moments. Episode 9. Nicola accepts Conrad's invitation to dinner, knowing full well it might be a trap. But Nicola had a plan. She wasn't there for small talk. She was there for DNA evidence, proof that would tie the Harrigans to a murder scene. And she got it. A glass, a napkin, a hair left on. Tattersall isn't killing to survive. He's killing to rewrite history. Remember that brutal warehouse scene? Where Harry decimated a Moroccan cell while hunting for Brendan and Serafina? What you didn't see was what he left behind. One man survived, burned, half dead, and he was smiling. Why? Because Antwerp wasn't a drug bust. It was a message. And whoever really runs that operation, they're not done. Kevin was Harry's shadow, his cleaner, his hammer. But loyalty in MobLand has a shelf life. And lately, Harry's been watching Kevin closely. Kevin's making mistakes. He hesitated during the Stevenson raid. He flinched when O'Hara died. He argued with Harry, on camera. Is Harry D'Souza becoming the very monster he once hunted? Kiko's dead. Zosha's unstable. Kevin's unpredictable. And Harry needs control. The fewer people in the room, the fewer who can betray you. So what does that mean for Kevin? MobLand's finale left too many deaths, unfinished, and that's not lazy writing, that's intentional terror. Because a dead man can't hurt you, but a missing one? They keep you up at night? We still don't know. Who took Nicola? What's hidden in the Antwerp files? Who's funding Tattersall from the shadows? And why is Serafina always one step ahead, even from off-screen? One thing is clear, not all threats in MobLand carry guns. Some carry data, blackmail, old memories. The Harrigan versus Stevenson war is over, the bodies are cold, the smoke has cleared. But something bigger, darker, and older is waking up. And all these unfinished deaths, they weren't endings, they were setups.